let's just talk about the Easter holidays, because I love the Easter holidays. It's a time that I get to spend with my daughter. I'm a mum. She's 9 years old. But I like to do, I wouldn't say frivolous things. I like to do something where we can create memories. So it might be going for a drive somewhere, or it might be having a nice meal or a pamper day. But I'm actually thinking to myself, I can't, because the cost of petrol is so expensive. Also, as well, if we go for something nice to eat out, you've got the hike now in the VAT. So part of me is like, what can I do with this Easter?
Well, I don't think you're alone, because some really interesting research has come out from Fruit Shoot that said 90% of parents, so let's take that as most of them, are daunted by the idea of keeping their kids entertained during the school holidays. And I think Easter's particularly tricky because you're not really guaranteed the weather. So you're kind of like, am I indoors? Am I outdoors? What can I do? And I just really want to encourage parents to try and get some activities going that they think, short, structured things that they can do with their children. And Fruit Shoot have got an activity booklet actually with some really great ideas, because when I work with parents, not every parent likes every kind of thing. Some really like outdoors, some like creative stuff. Me, I am really hopeless with anything arty, so that would have been definitely off my list. So I just want to say to parents, find something that you can really gel with, and that will definitely make the activity go smoother with your child.
We've also got as well, we had the lockdown, and I remember homeschooling, and that took me to a place where I thought, okay, it is very hard to keep a child entertained for such a long period of time. So with you doing stuff like The Secret Life of 4 and 5 and 6-year-olds, what kind of stuff can we do to keep our kids entertained?
Well, I think that's a really good question, because I really think there is a balance, and parents say this to me all the time now, about how much should we entertain them, as in, help, give structure, give them ideas, and how much should we kind of step back and let them explore. And, we often, parents say to me, in my day, we would sort of go out in the morning and, wouldn't come back till tea time. I hear that story all the time. So I think we've really got a different kind of approach around parenting nowadays. So I would say to parents, a little bit of structure is a good idea, and doing some stuff with them, because that builds their language skills, you're communicating, but actually also really encouraging them to entertain themselves, letting them be bored, because it makes them a whole lot more inventive. So kind of having periods of the day where actually for a few hours they're going to have to find stuff that they want to do for themselves. And I think parents worry a little bit about that stepping back.
It's not even worrying about stepping back, it's worrying about what my household is going to look like afterwards. That's what I'm fearing.
That's a very good point. And that's it, isn't it? Because sometimes a quiet child, whilst it's nice and peaceful for you can't help but to think, are they quiet for a reason? Do I need to go and check what's going on? And a little bit of mischievousness, a little bit of curiosity, a little bit of finding out and pushing the boundaries is a really helpful thing. That's part of how children develop. But as with all things, balance and reason and safety have to prevail. Absolutely.
My holidays, when I look back, the school holidays, it was times when I was outside playing Naughty Bee, Knock a Door Run, or playing Kirby, or stuff where I was getting entertained with the other children that were on the estate or the street that I could play with. But I don't know what it is. I don't know if I'm overprotective. I don't know if I want my daughter to be out there, but I do know how valuable it is to have that outdoor play and that exercise and activities. Now, I can't be her mum, her best friend, and a playmate as well. So how can I think me as a parent, how can I get my head around that to give her that freedom where she can go out and play in a secure environment?
I think that's such a good point, because I think that speaks to risk and what we understand risk to be nowadays. We feel that children aren't safe to be outside, that they're out of sight from us. But I would always also say that actually, just because your child's indoors, when, lots of parents have their children, they're playing online, and they feel like, because they can see them, that it's inherently safer. But actually, giving them access to the online world is giving them access to the whole globe. And that's, that could actually be arguably less safe in some ways. So I think it's really important to try and think as a parent what your views are about, where your child can go, what's safe, what skills do you want them to try and learn. And it's about having that conversations with them, isn't it? About saying, okay, I'm happy for you to do this, or I'm happy for you to go there, or these are the steps in place if this is what happens. But we do have to let children develop those life skills and those coping skills, because as you say, you and I might have had a lot more outdoor freedom when we were younger than kids do today. but they have a lot more online freedom than we ever would have grown up with or been able to understand.
Do our children have an expectation to go on big days out, or do you think that's pressure that we put on ourselves as parents?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point. I think it's a bit of both. I mean, I think certainly the opportunities are much bigger than they were when we were young. A day out to the seaside was kind of a big thing when we were kids. And actually, there's just a lot more choice. But also, as parents, I think it's really important to be able to balance that with just the ordinary playing in the garden, doing some stuff at home, a bit of, junk modeling, those kind of activities, because it's not realistic to say that there's always going to be a day out. And, as you say, in the current economic climate, parents really are under a lot of pressure. So I think it's about being honest and realistic with kids. And actually, loads of research that says happiness is predominantly in the simple pleasures in life. And do you know what? Children are brilliant at that. So if anything, I really want to encourage getting back to something that's a bit less complicated.
And Dr. Kilby, what would you advise, or what do you do when it is the school holidays with your children?
So for me, a little bit of structure. So kind of you've got an idea of what you're doing roughly over the days, but obviously much less structure than school. So they feel like they're having a break. Trying to balance indoor and outdoor, a variety of activities, plenty of exercise, plenty of creativity, making things up. Also a little bit of pajama day and chilling. That's also okay too, practicing the art of relaxing. And as I say, some really good ideas on the Fruit Shoot activity pack that can kind of steer parents really into something they might not normally try. Because actually, we never stop learning. So perhaps you can get out of your comfort zone and get your kids to teach you something, which I think would be a lovely way to spend your holiday.
Dr. Kilby, thank you so much for joining us today on
Super.
BBC Radio Manchester.
Thank you.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye.